Hi everyone, today I'm bringing another story, Adventures with Pete. This story is about a night out in Hoboken, New Jersey. It's a very trendy, upscale, well, it's more like a very trendy, gentrified type of neighborhood. A lot of fun things to do. Definitely a place to have a nice slice of life. So Pete and I had planned to see a band at a club in Hoboken called Maxwell's. They're closed now, but it was a very fun, popular place throughout the 90s and 2000s. And I think they closed around 2018. And they always had really good bands. They always had more like alternative, but rock bands that were really good. And I used to go there a lot with my brother. My brother had moved to Pennsylvania, so before he moved, we used to try to go there as often as we could. My brother actually lived in Hoboken for a long time and not far from Maxwell's either. We used to go there, have a great time, and not worry about driving and get back to his place and crash. But anyway, those days are long gone, and now I'm getting nostalgic over here. So I was going to go that night with Pete, and I was supposed to meet up with some friends. Pete wanted to go to a restaurant on the waterfront, so I asked my friends if they wanted to meet us there and have dinner. They couldn't because it was a Friday, so most of my friends would not be at the restaurant, and we were going to meet everybody at Maxwell's around 9:30, 10 o'clock. So Pete and I went to the waterfront. It was very, very crowded there. Parking is very hard to find there. A lot of times the garages and parking lots are full, so you have to find street parking. So we finally found a place we could parallel park, and there was a sign there that said 2-hour limit. And I looked at him and I'm like, is this okay? And he says, fine. We're just gonna eat and then we're gonna go. And he knew about this restaurant. I didn't know anything about this restaurant. I had never been there. It was a new place, so I hadn't been there with my brother, and I had never heard of it before. So we parked the car, and he wasn't sure where the restaurant was, so we kept walking. And next thing you know, we're walking and walking all around the waterfront along this path. It probably took about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, just to walk to this place until we found the restaurant. So we finally get to the restaurant and it's empty. And you know what they say about empty restaurants. The place next door was crowded and it looked better. So I was like, couldn't we go here? And he's like, no, I want to go to this one. So I'm looking at the place next door and could see there were people seated on the patio, laughing and eating good food that looked delicious, and drinks. The cocktails looked really nice and refreshing, and I really felt like I was missing out. I don't remember the name of the restaurant that we ended up going to, and that might be a good thing because it was just okay. It was nothing to write home about. So when we got in there, the server seemed preoccupied and looked like she wanted to be anywhere but there. We ordered appies. Yes, that's what we call them in the tri-state area. We call them appies. And we ordered drinks. I ordered a Corona beer and he ordered a Jack and Coke. The server brought our drinks, but there was no lime in my Corona. And lime, if any of you drink Corona, you know lime actually makes the beer. It's actually very lame without lime. So I wasn't really going to be drinking it until I got my lime. I mentioned this to Pete, asking him if he could flag the server down, and he told me that I should just be able to drink it with no lime. I told him, I said, the lime is what makes the Corona, and it just doesn't taste good without lime. So he told me not to make a big deal about everything, and he's leaning back in his chair with his Jack and Coke in hand, like, come see, come sa, lecturing me on his easy breezy outlook of life, which is a farce. His outlook is anything but easy breezy. If you ever seen any of my videos, you would know, and you're probably laughing right now. So he took a sip of his drink and he was ready to spit it out. Then he made a big deal and flagged the server down. He was saying that the drink was all ice and hardly any booze in it, and the soda was flat. And when he was done with his rant, I told the server I needed a lime for my Corona, and could she check on our appetizers. She hurried back with another drink for him, but no appetizers, no lime. So I asked her again. She was apologetic, but still disconnected, like, oh yeah, sure. So 15 minutes later, she came back to take our order. No lime, no appies. Pete places his order and, drum roll, another Jack and Coke. I ordered my meal and asked for the lime and reminded her to check on the appies. She came back shortly with his second Jack and Coke. So finally I got firm with her and told her I'd been waiting for the lime and the appetizers. At that time, she gave some excuse for the appetizers, so I told her forget the appetizers and place my dinner order. I also ordered a wine. I ordered a Riesling because the Corona was warm and I had a feeling she was allergic to limes or something. She came back with my wine and it was the wrong kind, but at that point I was like, screw it, and drank it. Pete ordered his third Jack and Coke. 20 minutes later, the food finally reached the table. The salads came out at the same time as the meal, which, you're supposed to get your salad first. And by then, we're starving. We're ready to eat the table. So at that point, all I wanted to do was eat, get out of there, and get to the club. So when the meal came, I ordered my second wine, and he ordered his fourth drink. I had a chicken dish with some kind of sauce on it, and they could have spared some more sauce because the chicken was dry, but I just ate it. I was like, screw it. It ain't gonna get much better than this. So I ate my meal. I was digging in, and he was complaining because his steak was well done, and then he threw a fit. The manager came out and went to speak with the server. And the server was crying, and the manager sent a second server to wait on us. The second server brought a medium rare steak to Pete and our drinks. When the bill came, the appetizers were still listed. The clueless manager didn't know we never got those. I was charged for the Corona, and Pete was charged for the first drink that he had sent back. The manager, instead of taking the appetizers and the two failed drinks off the tab, offered to give us a gift card for a future visit. Pete argued and made a scene. The manager agreed to comp us for the appetizers and the drinks. That's not a comp because we never got those items. Well, we did get the drinks, but, they were failed. We sent them back. Pete argued some more, and I told him, let's go. It's already 9 o'clock. The first band is probably starting. Plus, we have to go all the way back to the car and drive across town. We paid the full bill, and Pete was angry with me for agreeing to pay the bill and the tip for the second server because what did he do wrong? We walked all the way back to where the car was, and what do we find? A boot on the tire. I read the sign, and it said 2-hour limit on the parking. He blamed me for the parking spot. Not to mention that it was probably the last place in town we could park. And it's not my fault that he caused us to have a 45-minute walk to the restaurant because he didn't know where it was. And it's not my fault the restaurant took their sweet ass time. So here's where it gets interesting. Pete went into his trunk and grabbed some tools and pried the boot off. It took about 30 minutes, but it seems they didn't put the boot on correctly. And it left some wiggle room in the locking mechanism, and he saw that right away. So he decided to go in his trunk and grab a bunch of tools and started prying away at this lock, and finally it came off. On the sign, there was a phone number and an address to the precinct as a contact should you find a boot on your car. The precinct was down the street, and why I followed him, I do not know. I could have easily taken a cab or an Uber to Maxwell's, met up with my friends, and would have had a ride home. But no, my stupid ass followed him to the precinct, partly out of concern for him and partly out of curiosity. Once we got there, I found out this building and staff was the Hoboken Parking Authority or something like that. But it wasn't the police. Pete was challenging them like, oh, so you're not the real police. Do you like harassing people coming here to have a night out? He called them rent-a-cops and stuff like that. There was a younger cop there who was standing next to me, and I let him know that I had nothing to do with this, and he assured me I wasn't in trouble. Now, I'm calling this man a cop, but he was part of the parking authority, and he had the uniform on, so he looked pretty official to me, so I'm just going to call him the cop. They told him that he needs to stay there until the real police shows up, and maybe they can let him know what kind of authority they have. The younger cop who was talking to me told me I should stick around in case they need me to give a statement. The official police never did come down to the precinct. They called and they told them that they could just let us go. Apparently they were tied up with more important matters. So we left them with their boot, and they didn't charge us any money or any fines, but they did tell him that he could get a ticket in the mail and he might have to appear in court. That never happened, though. They never sent a ticket. If I were them, I definitely would have sent a ticket to them for like $1,000. Just for all the BS they had to put up with from him. So the next day I told my friends what had happened and why I didn't show up. They couldn't believe it. So that's another story about Pete. As I think of them, I will be recording them. I was out of commission for about a week. I was sick, so I'm back. And anyway, so I will be posting again very shortly. Bye.